Let's talk about private jets. Not the Instagram fantasy version, but the real options, real costs, and the math behind when flying privately actually makes sense. Because here's the truth: most people who fly private do not own a jet outright. In this episode, I'm breaking down every major way to fly private, when buying a jet is actually worth it, the different categories of private jets, and the big question everyone asks: how rich do you really need to be to afford one? So let's get into it. Welcome back to Savvypreneurship, where I break down business insights from the world's most powerful brands. If you're new here, consider subscribing for weekly videos on business strategy, branding, the total customer experience, and occasionally the luxury lifestyle. One, chartering, which is paying per trip. This is how most people start. You rent a private jet per flight with no long term commitment. Typical costs? Well, for a turboprop, you're looking at between $2,000 to $4,000 an hour. For a light jet, between $4,000 to $6,000 an hour. For a mid-sized jet, anywhere between $6,000 to $9,000 per hour. And for a large heavy jet, between $10,000 to $18,000 per hour. The pros are no upfront capital, total flexibility, and best for occasional flyers. The cons? Costs add up fast, and availability issues during peak times. Best if you fly under 24 to 40 hours per year. 2. Jet cards, time based programs. Think of this like buying flight hours in advance. You prepay for 25, 50, or even 100 hours at a fixed rate. The pros? Predictable pricing, priority access, and no ownership headaches. The cons? Large upfront deposits, expiration dates, and still expensive per hour. The sweet spot is between 40 to 75 hours of flight per year. 3. Fractional ownership. You buy a fraction of a jet, say 1/8 or 1/16, and share it with others. It's well-known providers manage everything from crew to maintenance to scheduling. The typical buy-in is between $500,000 to $3 million or more, depending on the type of aircraft. Ongoing costs, monthly management fees, and hourly operating fees. The pros are guaranteed availability, lower cost than full ownership, and prestige without full responsibility. The cons? Still a serious financial commitment and less flexibility than owning outright. This is best for anyone who does between 75 to 200 flight hours per year. And 4, full ownership, which is known as the flex. This is the private jet everyone imagines. You buy the aircraft, it's yours. But this also has costs which may explode. Here's the rule of thumb most aviation insiders use: you should fly at least between 200 to 300 hours per year to justify owning a jet. Why? Well, because owning a jet comes with fixed costs, including crew insurance, hangar fees, maintenance, etc., and variable costs, fuel, parts, and landing fees. Even if the jet never leaves the ground, you're still paying millions per year. Below 200 hours, chartering or fractional almost always wins financially. Above 300 hours per year, ownership can make sense, especially if time is extremely valuable, you need total control, and you fly the same routes often. The categories of private jets include turboprops. They seat between 4 and 8 passengers. They're meant for short ranges, and an example would be the Pilatus PC-12 or the King Air 350. People love them because they're inexpensive, efficient, and great for short regional trips. Then we have the light jets. They seat between 6 and 8 passengers. The range is between 1,500 to 2,000 miles. And examples would be the Phenom 300 or the Citation CJ4. They're ideal for business hops and solo founders or small teams. Next, we have the mid-size jets, which seat between 7 and 9 passengers. Range is approximately 2,500 miles. Examples of which are Citation Latitude and the Hawker 800 XP. This is where comfort and performance meet. Then we have the super mid-size jets, which seat between 8 to 10 passengers. Range is approximately 3,000 plus miles. And examples of this would be the Challenger 350, built by Bombardier, and the Citation Longitude. Very popular with executives who fly coast to coast. And finally, we have the heavy jets. They seat between 10 to 16 passengers. Their range is intercontinental, and examples of which are the Gulfstream 650 and the Global 7500, and most recently the Global 8000. These are flying penthouses. Let's talk money. Realistically, full ownership rule of thumb is that the jet value should not exceed 10 to 15% of your net worth. So a $5 million jet would mean anywhere between $35 to $50 million net worth, and a $20 million jet would mean a net worth of $150 million or more. The annual operating costs for a light jet are between $2 and $3 million per year. For a mid-sized jet, between $3 and $5 million per year, and for a heavy jet, anywhere between $6 to $10 million per year. So we're looking at approximately 10% per year of its market value. Income reality check. To comfortably own a jet, your annual income should be between $5 or more than $10 million. Or extreme liquid assets. Most private jet owners are business owners. They are partners in large firms and or ultra high level executives. Very few are just high earners. Here's my take. Private jets are not luxury toys. They're time machines. If flying private helps you close more deals, protects your schedule, and lets you operate at a higher level, then it can be an investment. But if it's about flexing, simply charter it. Enjoy it and move on. The smartest people don't ask, can I afford a private jet? They ask, what's the smartest way to access private aviation for how I actually travel? Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, give it a like, subscribe, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur. That's how you can help me grow my channel. I don't use paywalls, I don't do sponsorships, and I most certainly don't ask to contribute to any payment site. As a seasoned entrepreneur and educator, I simply enjoy sharing my experiences and giving back to the community. Consider my value-added, self-paced, comprehensive online starting a business course at business-wisdom-academy.com. Until the next episode, be curious, keep learning, and stay savvy.